Greetings, mortals. I am, of course, master of this realm, Harrison Tar. Welcome to another Tabletop Sandbox stream. I know it has been quite a while since we've done one of these, but I am glad to be back and I am excited to be playing some solo Cairn where we continue with the adventures of Boroth's Malksmilk, which I forgot was his surname, but is potentially fitting, especially if he meets an untimely demise like our original player character, Borid. But before we get into that, a huge thank you to all of you for showing up and enjoying the content. We're up to well over 500 subscribers now after about, hey, welcome, Red Wonder. Uh, we're up to well over 500 subscribers after just about 3 months of the channel, and that's crazy. That is kind of along the lines of what we had hoped for as a best case scenario, and so it is really encouraging, and I appreciate it, and I appreciate you guys a lot. So thank you for being here, thank you for watching the videos, thank you for subscribing. uh it means a lot to me because it confirms to me that I'm not the only one who thinks this content could be something good, and I hope that I'm bringing something of at least moderate value to, or at least moderate entertainment to you, uh, viewers out there. But now that I've gotten all sappy, let's get into some of this Cairn stuff. So, if you will recall, last week we rolled up Boroth Melk's Milk. We learned that he is a smuggler based in the town of Applebridge, which is where we kind of did a little bit of a tie-in to Borid and why he ended up in exile. But he's a smuggler with a rugged physique. He is cautious, but he has booming speech. Howdy, howdy, Travis. It is, oh, solo RPG extraordinaire. That is high praise that I do not know if I yet deserve, considering this is only my third session doing so. But hey, I will take the high praise. Just be careful. You don't want my head getting too big. Uh, it's already massive. But we learned that Boroth, similar names, but you know, what are you gonna do? Random tables, they're random, and sometimes that means they're similar when you want them to be different. But Boroth is fleeing. Is forced to flee his uh hometown, or at least his base town of Applebridge, where he conducts smuggling operations because he had a shipment that did not come in. We did, with help of suggestions by Kidney Thief, determine that his missing shipment was for that of a demon's kidney, though I don't think Boroth Boroth knows that that is what it contains just yet. But we have kind of settled upon that because it's cool and funny and weird. And there were a lot of things that were cool and funny and weird in the last session. Because as Boroth made his way out of town, he managed to talk his way onto the Dented Grief, captained by Wyron, a duelist, and paid all but one of his gold coins to secure passage across the hidden lake and to the lands beyond. And so, pardon me, he made his way across the hidden lake, but as they were passing, they were not exactly ambushed, but surprised by what we christened the Mind Whale, a creature of psychic power who is kind of the hive mind of a a pod. I mean, it's not real. They're not really whales, uh, but basically, it's the mind whale is this hive mind. It's basically an elder brain, but it is an elder brain of what I have coined pearl serpents, which are these kind of 20-foot long sea dragons with pearlescent scales. But we haven't really run into those yet. We just had kind of the mind whale breach and then let off the psychic dissonance to everybody on the dented grief, but they managed to escape. Then Borath landed where the dented grief was landing at the in the section of forest to the south of the hidden lake. Then made his way northeastward, and his goal was to meet up with Aline, who is a corrupt artisan who is kind of a stop on the pipeline for his smuggling operations, because he needs to track down uh, this missing shipment so that he can bring it to the Cormac's, who it was this powerful family in Applebridge that it was intended for, and he can get it to them and not have to pay his debt in blood, because the Cormac's are not nice people and they were trying to hunt him down and make him pay for his failure that wasn't even really his fault with blood. So he hiked through the forest uneventfully and came to a place called, what is it called? Broken Dagger, which is a descriptive name for a kind of jutting stone monolith that is naturally formed, where Aline, this artisan, this person on the smuggling pipeline, uh, no, this was not a craft beer. This is a uh, Kroger brand Diet Cola, because I'm bougie like that. So, made it there, and as he was pulling up, we just discussed that there may be like an underground fighting club. There's a place where you can camouflage some of the goods that are there. Um, and there is just kind of one hut where Aline stays that she conducts her business from. But as Boroth was arriving at Broken Dagger, he saw the beginnings of well, we rolled war on the fate chart event generator, and uh we there was a person wearing this kind of blue iridescent bug-like armor, riding on a giant undead dragonfly who is kind of zooming toward the broken dagger and Eileen, presumably to do battle. Uh, whether that be with Eileen is likely, but that is kind of where we are right now. He sees this figure wielding a crossbow, riding this undead dragonfly, wearing chitinous insectoid insectile armor, buzzing toward Broken Dagger, and I think, hmm, I don't know. What is he? Does he try to take? He is a cautious man, but also he needs to get a move on if he's going to catch up before this figure arrives at Broken Dagger. I don't know. Let's see. I'm gonna roll. I think it's 50-50 whether he takes it slow and cautious, or if he takes it at speed. So if it's a 50 or below, it'll be yes, he takes it cautious. That is a 1. That is an extreme yes. So that may be um, unfortunate in the end, but I using the fate chart, I decided that Borath, being the cautious man he is, he even ducks back into the tree line of that stretch of forest as this figure goes past. Is it just going to be the 1? Let me roll for number appearing. I may have done this last week, but I'm not entirely sure. Uh, but I'm gonna roll again and just take the new roll. The number appearing of the monsters. Is it just one, or is it a squad, or is it a horde? 8. That's a group. So there is not just one figure riding an undead dragonfly. There are 6 of them. Oh boy. So maybe it is actually wiser. Less fortunate for Aline, but wiser for Boroth to take his time, taking it slow on the approach. So he will do so. He is going to make his way, hide in the tree line, and then kind of follow after these things have already arrived, have passed by and far outstripped him, because these giant flying dragonflies that they're using as mounts are far faster than even a running speed of a human. So, what does he find when he gets there, or what does he see on the approach? Well, let's see. Is the hut on this side or the other side of Broken Dagger? So does this rock formation block his view, or can he see what's going on? Does it block his view? A 50-50 chance. Oh, actually, the chaos factor, I believe, is at 6. Or maybe it's even higher. No, it's at 6 right now. Okay, so that means that it's even more likely to be. No, that's wrong. Oh, yes, 65. And but that is a 96. So even with that, it is not an extreme. Oh, wait. Where is it? 96. That is an extreme no. So everything that happens is in clear view. Now, are these figures, are they rolling up? Are they going scorched earth policy? Are they just trying to destroy everything? I don't know. There's got to be something they want from Aline. Is it another piece of cargo that she's hiding? Or is it something they want to do with her? All right. Is it cargo? I'm going to give this a 50-50 shot, which means that's a yes. So, what did I just say? It has to do with cargo. So, they're not here for Aline, but they're here for cargo that they believe that she is harboring, or maybe in the future. Is that cargo here now? I'm going to roll on the fate chart again. Yes, it is. So they're here for the cargo. So they all pull up and they don't see it because it is camouflaged. This cargo, this contraband, whatever it is that Aline is hiding. And so they're going to pull up out front, and a couple of them are going to go in and talk to Aline. Now, what do we know about Aline? She the 3 things we kind of got in the Universal NPC emulator tell us that she wants to complete vigilance, damage industry, and conquer success. So the complete vigilance thing makes me think that she is ready for something like this to happen. And so, as the I'm imagining 2 of them kind of land and get off. Of these 6, I'm gonna say 4 land, 2 of them get off their mounts and go up to the door, while 2 are kind of hovering overwatch and 2 are waiting with the mounts. So, as they go up and they knock on the door? How polite are they? I don't know anything about these people. Let's generate one of them using the Universal NPC emulator and see what this guy or gal is like. Evena. Ivana is a hopeless servant. Interesting. Uh, I'm gonna change this a little bit. Their demeanor is hostile. Um, Interesting. A hopeless servant of who? All right. Well, this is stuff that has to go in notes. But I'm going to write down Ivana is the hopeless servant, and leader of the Dragonfly Squad. The undead Dragonfly Squad. Or maybe they're just called the Dragonflies. So, they their motivations are to pursue societies, construct happiness, and compose the Forsaken. That's interesting. None of this is making any sense to me, but I'm thinking that Ivana is this either bound by oath or by something greater than that, enslaved or like magically bound or something like that to whoever her master is. Um, but I think this is just a job for her. She's trying to do it and she must achieve her priorities, but she's not necessarily a true believer in this because she is hopeless, right? So I think that maybe she's tired of whatever her job is. I'm imagining this almost like a special ops squad sent out to achieve whatever it is that their masters want. Oh, uh-oh. Could this potentially be the demon kidney that the dragonflies are looking for? Could it be the demon kidney that they're looking for? And that's interesting. I'm gonna say that's somewhat likely, which at Chaos rank 6 gives us an 80% chance. But that's a not an 88, but a 38. So yes, they are also here looking for the demon kidney, and we've just confirmed it is already here. So this is all happening real fast. Okay, I thought maybe we are gonna have a lengthy quest, but no, sir. This might get resolved right here. And let's see, as Boroth is taking his time, I think that Ivana goes up and she's knocking on the door and calls out. I'm not going to go into all the details of that because Boroth isn't actually there, but basically there's a kind of a call back and forth between Aline and Ivana, and I think that Aline just seems to me like a confrontational type. So I think that there are some harsh words exchanged, and Ivana is like, "Well, we got to do this," and so she calls the other two people who are landed off, and they kind of some of them get crossbows, some of them, what do they get? What would dragonflies use? I like the idea of spears because they're kind of mounted, almost like cavaliers. So I'm gonna say that a couple of them have short spears. Or no, the ones in back have spears to back people up. They're not great for close quarters, though. I'm thinking about this way too much. They pull out swords, and then a couple have crossbows, because that's been confirmed. And they stack up, and then they try to bust in through the door and basically take Alina into custody or subdue her, basically. Hopefully without killing her so that they can interrogate her to learn this. And so Borath is watching this, but he is I mean, he doesn't want to get close because they've got this overwatch, but he can see this all happening. And so he knows that they're going in for Alina and they might be killing her. So I think he has to try something desperate. And does he know, is there a secret back way? Because we talked about there being some underground stuff. Could he sneak into a tunnel? Well, is there a tunnel that I'm going to say there definitely is a tunnel that lets out somewhere, but does Borath know where that is or have the capability to access it? I'm going to say this is somewhat likely. Yes, that's a 76, which on a somewhat likely chaos rank 6, that gives us an 80% chance, so that is confirmed. So he just has to get to that secret entrance without being spotted by the Overwatch, so he has to roll a dexterity save, which is not Bora's strong suit. He only has a dexterity of 7. He's much stronger. He's got a 15 strength, so he's good at strength. This is unfortunate. We're gonna roll and see how we do. A 7 exactly. Yes, he is able to make his way to this hidden entrance and slip in without being detected by Overwatch. Excellent. Excellent. Okay, so as there's kind of a battle going on of Alina resisting these dragonflies, Borat slips beneath and he's kind of making his way through. And I'm wondering, what's the kind of relationship between Aline and Borath? Would he kind of go out on a limb for her and try to protect her? Does he think he could figure this stuff out just by looking at her tables or her ledgers and things? Hmm. I think that it's more exciting for him to go after her to save her, uh, and help her in this battle of resisting these dragonflies. And hey, maybe Alina's already actually running if she's scared of them. I'm gonna ask. I'm gonna give this a 50-50 shot, which gives us a 65% chance that she's already booking it down this very tunnel. Yes. So she has put her defenses in place and she's getting out of dodge. And so I think there's this scene where Aline comes around a corner and her and Borath kind of bump into each other and both fall. And Borath pulls his dagger and she pulls her sword. And they both kind of look at each other and she goes, "Oh, I have to come up with a voice for Aline. What did I say about Aline? What's her what's she like? I mean, complete vigilance. She's a corrupt artisan. I'll give her a French accent. Why not? You know, she's artisanal. She's got the skills. She's got that class. So I'm gonna give her a really terrible French accent because I can't do a good one. Um, but they bump into each other and they fall down and they draw their weapons and then in a hiss she says, "Boroth, what are you doing here?" And he replies, "I came to speak to you. I need that shipment. Where is it? The Cormics are after me. And who are these people upstairs?" And we determined this already. So she says, "Ah, your shipment is a lost cause if they find it. They are after the same thing." And Borath is like, "Who are these strangers riding on flying beasts?" And she says, "There is no time to explain. They will break through in a matter of moments. We must escape while we still have the chance." And I don't know because the whole reason he came out here is I don't think Borath is going to let this slide. He says, "No, you need to tell me where it is now so that if there's any chance I can retrieve it before it is taken away by these strange dragon flying creatures. I need to know." And he's going to do a willpower save to see if he can convince her to talk, or if she's just too focused on getting the heck out of here. That is a 15. That is a failure. Um, and as she moves to push past him, she says, "Who are you to tell me what to do in my own home? Get out of my way, Borov." And he needs her, and he'd rather not turn this into something violent. So he kind of tucks his dagger away and lets her pass and follows after her. And they, I think, are both going to flee. But as they escape, they have to try and make their way out of here without being detected, because there's definitely a chance of being detected, as we saw Boroth try to make it into the secret entrance, and he did so successfully. So I'm gonna assume Alina's pretty good, but Boroth maybe not so much, especially because he's wearing armor. So let's see if Boroth can pull this off again, and they can get somewhere safe, like some vantage point, or maybe just out of the scenario entirely, without being detected. That is a 4. Yes, that is a success because in Cairn we want to roll under our score. He has a dexterity of 7. That's a success. So we are, but are they able to find kind of a hidden place with a vantage point where they could potentially survey the goods that are hidden, or at least where they're hidden, and know if the dragonflies find them or not? I would say that that's unlikely, which gives us straight 50%. That is not a percentile die. That's a 7. Yeah. So they do find this place. I think because it's in this area of plains. Maybe they find a a kind of grouping of boulders nearby, and they manage to kind of sneak out of this secret entrance or exit and hightail it to a group of boulders with some brush around it, and they are kind of peering, looking at the dragonflies as they do Overwatch. And I think that definitely by now they see the dragonflies go into the they kind of bust their way in through the door, and Aline smiles a little bit as there's the sound of screams because she is seeking complete vigilance and of course foresaw this event of somebody breaking into her hut and some horrible trap has gone off inside, and Boroth just kind of gives her a look and remembers all of the times that she's made him just a little bit uncomfortable with the way she is. And and then he turns to her and in a booming yet stealthy voice says, "Well, now that we've made it to general safety, where is it? Where is the shipment? And why didn't it get to me on time? The Cormacs want my head, or at least my blood. You know those folk are strange." And she replies, "There were some complications. It did not get here in time. It only just arrived, and my contact to take it across the water has not yet arrived. His normal time for ferrying it across the waves, he missed it, and I do not know where he is." And I'm thinking that might have something to do with the mind whale. So I'm going to write that down in threads. I'm going to say uh, Aline's ferryman contact missing. And so Borat says, "Well, come on, where is it then? Where have you hidden it?" And I think she points, and up against the side of the broken dagger, there is thick, dark ivy that kind of grows up the shady side of it. It's not shady all the times, but it's kind of this leaning, jagged thing that resembles a dagger somewhat. And there is this thick ivy that covers the side of it. And she says, "The ivy, it covers a small cave where I hide all of the smaller shipments and contraband." And he winces because of how close that the dragonflies are to it, and says, "So there's no contraband actually within the hut or the facility underneath it?" And she says, "Well, there is some. I would not be surprised if they damage some of it out of spite, but what they are looking for, what you are looking for, that is hidden beneath the ivy." And Borat asks, for a little bit of clarification. Does he manage to convince her to tell him the specific secret spot? Let's see. With willpower. Yes, he does. He rolls a 4 on a 10. Um, and so she details, like, she points out to him the specific spot, so if he would be able to find it on his own, if for some reason she were not around to help him locate it. But I don't think it's reasonable for the chance to find this, uh, to like approach while these dragonflies are still here. The question is, how long do they stick around, and do they somehow find this hidden spot for contraband? Well, I'm going to say that that's very unlikely that they're able to find it, but I'm going to roll on the fate chart to decide whether that's a yes or a no. So we are at chaos rank 6, which makes it a very unlikely a 45% chance. So 32, that's a yes. So they do, as Boroth and Aline watch, they start poking around, and one of them stumbles across this hidden area uh, beneath the ivy, and they call over some of the other ones, and there's still one on Overwatch, but as they start looking through it, they pull it out, and I'm imagining, because it's a demon kidney preserved somehow, even though Borat doesn't necessarily know that. I'm imagining it's this almost like tank, maybe enclosed in a crate, but it's like this cylindrical crate, so it's pretty kind of iconic and notable. So I think that Aline points that out, and she says, that that is your shipment. I'm sorry that they found it, but it appears you are out of luck. And Borath curses under his breath and says, no, I can't give up now. I'm not going to charge across and so brandish my dagger at them, but I will track them down and I will find it. And Aline, of course, says, Boros, you do not know who you're dealing with. That would be a grave mistake, and presumably your last. And Boras says, why? Who are these people? What do they want? What master do they serve? And so let's figure that out. Well, first of all, let's figure out if Aline actually knows any details of, or whether she just knows that these are people not to be messed with. She's heard of them or she knows about them. So, does she know any further details about them? I'm going to say that this is very unlikely. She does not. So, because I'm assuming that there's some kind of secret order or cult or something. And but I think she's gonna have the name. She might have the name of their like supreme leader, or at least what they're known as. So let's see. This one's a little bit more likely. Uh, yes. So she does know just the title or name of the leader of this group, the master that Avena serves. So let's figure that one out. I need to write down a little bit more about Avena before I clear that off the screen. Um, just some of her motivations that I have not yet interpreted. Construct happiness and compose the Forsaken are both interesting to me. Now, if the UNE spits out a name that I like, I'll go with that. Otherwise, I will probably generate something using Perilous Wilds. Rihar. I don't really like that name. So let's go with some kind of title. Let's let's use I'm gonna use the place names generator, but just use the adjectives to kind of come up with something. 27. Let's see. The deep one, the doomed one. The doomed, maybe I can get a noun in there too. The doomed 59. The doomed peril, that seems a little redundant. The doomed knave. Ooh, I like that. The doomed knave. Uh, yeah, that is Evena's master. The doomed knave. And maybe that kind of plays into why Evenna is hopeless. Maybe it's not because of her situation, but maybe that's because everybody who serves the doomed knave is kind of hopeless. The doomed knave. Master. I don't know if he's master of the dragonflies. Lore is fun. I like lore. Yeah. So I think how this scene ends is Boroth and Aline kind of hiding as the dragonflies find what they want. They take this, I think they probably use cords to suspend this crate in between two of their dragonflies, and they take off all as one, heading, well, which direction do they head? Let's see. Which direction? Heading northeast. They take off heading northeast with Boroth's shipment that he needs to clear his name with the Cormic's and uh, be able to live peacefully in Applebridge once again. And so that is where we will close our scene. I think they have some more talk, but Alina really doesn't have they have some more talk. They talk a little more, but Aline doesn't really have much information. And Boroth didn't really have any resources that were depleted by that. He had the rough experience with the mind whale earlier, but I mean, he's had a heck of a day, but he's overall okay. I'm still at my full 3 HP, and I haven't taken any strength damage. So I think Boroth is good to continue. And so I think that as it kind of begins to become the afternoon, we may head out and do some exploring in that northeast direction. Um, does Aline know generally where the dragonflies are located or where they roost, as it were? I'm going to say that this one's unlikely, 50% chance. That is a 62. No, she does not. So Boroth only has the direction that they left in. So I'm going to pull out my little hex map that we have started to populate with colors and numbers for to represent our terrain and locations. And we are going to find the terrain generation chart if it's in here. Is it here? It is. Perfect. Okay, so as Boroth I mean, I'm just going to generate the 3 hexes that are around the hex that Boroth is currently in. So I need a d20. Let's see, what's to the south of these plains? 2 more plains. Uh, so that is brown. That's to the south. What is to the southeast? That is what we must match next. That's going to be a 13. Aquatic. Interesting. There's another lake. Uh, Sometimes I chat mid-play. When I see it. Uh, but I generally, I don't know. Part of it is I want to be entertaining for people who are here, but I do want to engage the stream. Uh, but it ends up being like 90%, 90 to 95% uh playing. But oh, supplements that you asked about supplements. So what I'm using Cairn, and there on the Cairn website is a great supplement for hex crawling that has a system of 3 watches, and um, then I've kind of corrupted the I mean, I kind of mishmashed my own tables for location and feature generation, and I'm using a small terrain generation table that I took uh, from Pathfinder 2E, just a little table I found. I am not entirely sure what Mouse Ritter is like, but it could very much well be like that. I'm using a system of 6 mile hexes. There are 3 watches. There's like the early watch, the late watch, and then the night watch. And then another big one I'm using is Perilous Wilds. This is what's helping me generate names, generate monsters, and then I'm using the Universal NPC emulator to generate NPCs. So back to generating more. I did a 13, so that is this violet? That is violet. I need blue. That is aquatic. Interesting. Another lake, just a hop, skip, and a jump away from the hidden lake. I'm wondering if this is part of something bigger. And is there more water that they're going to have to cross? And we roll another d20. Hopefully in the dice tray. We get a 19. That's match previous hex. And so we have more aquatic. Is this a significantly bigger lake, perhaps? I'm not sure. Well, now Boroth has to make his way across this hex, and he will find himself at the edge of water. Interesting. Um, I think that he is going to. That is interesting. We talked about how it was strange that there were pirates in the hidden lake with it being so small, only 1 hex wide. But I think that maybe there's a river that connects the hidden lake to this larger body of water that kind of goes along this border right here between these 2 hexes. So I'm going to draw that in, and we'll say that kind of because Apple Bridge is in the mountains, that feeds the hidden lake, and then the hidden lake in turn feeds this wider area down below those plains or on the other side of those plains, just to make it make a little bit of sense for my brain. Uh, so it is quite possible that uh, Boroth needs the help of Wyron yet again to travel by sea. And if he can't find Wyron, then maybe somebody else. But he kind of has that initially established relationship with Wyron. And Wyron dropped him off at the forest to the south. It's quite possible that Wyron's ship is still there and he's doing whatever business he needed to do. So I think he knows that. So they head northeast across the water, presumably. I don't think. Well, I think what Borok needs to do is gather more information, and he needs a passage across the water. So I think he's going to try and trek back into that forest and see if he can board the dented grief once again and find his way out down that river and into the wider body of water and potentially locate those dragon flyers. Yes. How many encounters do I have in my table for Overworld? Good evening, Neutromancer. I don't actually have specific encounter tables if there is a yeah, woo, solo play. We're having fun. We're having a lot of fun already. Though Boroth was kind of a coward and didn't run to his immediate death against 6 armored dragonfly mounted warriors. But when it comes to I'll probably develop something beyond this in the future, but so far I've been using just the creature generator table in Perilous Wilds to develop an encounter. Because for me, an encounter, it means a creature. Uh, because everything else would be like a location feature. Uh, but I think I had something else that I was using at some point. Did I? I printed out something, but I don't know where I put it. Oh, here it is, the campaign notebook. Perfect. Because there are encounters listed in here, but I don't know. I'm not terribly familiar with that, so I'll use what I know for now and do my research off stream. Keep things as streamlined as possible, if you'll forgive the pun. So I think Boros' plan is to head back into that forest, try and find the Dented Grief, secure passage uh, eastward, north and eastward, to go after these dragonflies because he's not going to give up that easy. He's not going to give up with that without at least um, talking to them a bit and seeing if he can ask for it, or he's not going to give up. We know this because he would like to be able to live in his hometown again. So Boroth is going to trek back into that forest. I think this is the late watch for him. It's going to be more travel, and because after that encounter, yeah. So he's using the late watch to travel a bit more, try and make his way back there. Let's see if he has an encounter. So where's my okay? So when he's traveling, we want to roll something. What do we get? That is a 19. So that is going to be an encounter. So as Boroth moves back southwest into the forest, he has an encounter. So that is going to be a person. Let's see, is it what kind of, or not a person, but a creature? What kind of creature be ye? That is going to be a human, and let's figure out what they're doing and what their alignment is. So their activity is that they are dying. Oh, interesting. And what's their alignment? Uh, good. So he's Boroth has come across a good man dying, or a good person dying. Is this somebody from the Dented Grief? Does he is he coming upon this as he gets up near where the Dented Grief was? I think well the last scene was pretty, I mean, it was pretty under control. No, it wasn't under control. It didn't go according to plan. Boroth was very reactive, so I'm going to raise the chaos to 7. So I think it's somewhat likely that it is a member of the Dented Grief's crew. And yes, that's an extreme yes. So an extreme yes. Does that mean that it is the captain? Does that mean that it is Captain Wyron? Oh man, I liked him. I think that's what it means. So Boroth, trying to make his way back, finds Captain Wyvern dying in the forest. What is he dying from? What manner of harm came to him? I'm gonna roll maybe an ability. I'm just rolling on a random table in Perilous Wilds. Let's see what we get. 1. A bless or curse. Well, it would be a curse if he's dying. So Wyron has been struck by a curse. Okay, interesting. Then I don't think this is an immediate threat, but I think it is something that in his past that has caught up with him, and a curse is being brought to fruition over a long distance, and so his crew are gathered around him just on the shore. Their boat, the Dented Grief, kind of floating gently on the waves of the hidden lake. And something, yes, just what every hero needs, a dying person. The most convenient thing is the guy you needed help from is dying of a curse. And yeah, I think that he utters something along the lines of, "I had hoped it would never come to this." And then there's like black veins crawling up his face, his neck, and he reaches out a hand, and then he dies. And Boroth just kind of muscles through the crowd to see what's happening and sees this last moment. And the crew is definitely upset and kind of at a loss of what they're going to do. Their captain. I'm assuming there's a first mate. I think that's very likely. Yeah. So there's a first mate who is going to be the next person in charge. Let's figure out who that person is. And what kind of person they are might determine what they do when put into this wild situation where they are thrust into command of it, command of the ship. I don't like these names. I kind of like this one. I'm going to write down Alice. I'm changing it a little bit, but it's pretty close to Alice. And Alice is a foolish adventurer. So she's here for the adventure, and she will put herself into unfortunate situations for the sake of achieving adventure, which makes her a bit foolish. Ooh, the doomed knave cursed him. That's a good idea. Uh, he may, yeah, I'm wondering, that's a good idea. So first of all, I'm gonna write that thread. Who cursed Wyron? I don't know if I want, I mean, perhaps, well, let's roll to see if anybody in the crew, specifically Alice, knows what's happening and what the cause of this is. So I think it is very unlikely. I'm gonna make it even say no way. So there's only a 25, no, it would be a 35% chance because our chaos rank is getting so high. But no. She does not know the cause of this. And so I'm gonna leave it at that for now. We do not know what the cause of this curse is, but it is clear to everyone here that some dark power has come and just taken his life. Uh, and we don't know We don't know who that is, but it is a very unfortunate situation for all parties involved, and not a great time for Borat to ask for another ride, but he is here. But let's see. Being a foolish adventurer. Well, how hardy is she? I mean, I think she's friendly. She's friendly, and so I don't think she's opposed or completely inconsolable when Borath comes and talks to her. But he's still gonna have to make a willpower save to kind of cut through this grief and, well, not come off. across in a way that makes her not want to have anything to do with him. So he's going to roll a willpower save. That's a 5. That is a success. 5 on a 10. So comes over and he asks some questions, but she doesn't have really any answers other than, well, it must have been some kind of curse. I've heard of things like this happening, but never so quickly, so out of the blue. And he says, I'm very sorry for your loss. Are you are you the one in charge now? She goes, I guess so. I guess I'm the new captain of the Dented Grief. I guess I should get on that, shouldn't I? She kind of looks around and realizes that all these people are now her responsibility. And she says, Borov, wasn't it? What are you, why did you come back? Why are you here? And he says, well, I was close to achieving what I wanted, but it has gone away from me, over the water, in fact. And I am once again in need of transport over the water, down the river and beyond the water beyond, actually. Are you headed that way? And, well, I don't think she really has anything to do, but I think she says, do you have any more gold? And he kind of fingers the last gold piece in his pocket, but kind of pulls it up and twists it around his finger and says, not enough, but I'd be willing to work in any way that I can. And he has some basic sailing experience, but he's going to have to make another willpower save to do this. That is a natural 20, which is just complete and utter failure. Um, she says, sorry, Laura, I don't know you. Uh, and if you don't have the coin, then we don't have the space. And he kind of thinks and says, how long are you going to be here? And well, let's see. How are we going to do? I'm just going to roll a luck check. Are they leaving first thing in the morning? I think that that's likely. So this is going to be a 90% chance. Yeah. Uh, yeah. She says, we'll be leaving before first light. And Bora again curses under his breath and has an idea, but it's not sure. He's going to have to basically travel through the night to see if he can pull it off. And then it's not guaranteed. Uh, so he says, "I'll try to be back with the money before then, but you know how these things go." And she says, "I'd be happy to take the coin if you can get it here." And he just kind of silently turns and looks at the corpse of Captain Wyron and them like starting to dig a grave for him and takes off. And he is going to head back to Aline and see if she can lend him any money. Uh, Considering that she let his shipment get lost or get taken, uh, that's a not great way to do this. So he is going to take off, and he still has some travel. I think it's fair that he would be able to make it back through the night. But there is a chance that he could get lost in this forest. So let's see if he is a fool and gets himself lost. That is a yeah, he does. And he comes to another section of plains. Well, how much has he moved? So for this one, he's only moved one hex, so he'll get three. One, two. And unfortunately, he gets lost and he comes into a different section of plains. But he's now able to get his bearings a little bit more and realize that he needs to head north instead. But let's see. I'm gonna roll another encounter check because this is kind of a second leg of travel. I'm just kind of hand waving this uh, because I'm rolling when I think it makes sense to roll. So as he's traveling, what does he come across? That's a 10. That would be a location or feature. So let's generate one of those for this hex, this other hex of planes. So that would be a d20. That's a 7. So this is going to be a resource, which is not that interesting, but potentially useful in the future. So, what resource is here? 4. It's a vegetable resource. There is either herb, spice, dye, source, etc. So he's on the plains. I think he comes across a hey, welcome. Is that Low Eaves? Low Eaves? Low Eaves 2. Glad you could make it too. Um, and so I think he just comes across a field of wildflowers that have the potential to be turned into dye, dyes, right? So I guess I will make that number 4 on my numbered list of locations, and I will write field of wildflowers. So potentially Boroth could use that if he wanted to make dye sometime. Could come in handy. Could just be an interesting detail. All right. So now he is going from there. He gets his bearings again and he needs to head north. And the sun is setting as he is making his way back there. And he's realizing that he's going to have to travel through the night if he wants to try and catch this ship, which is going to give him a fatigue, which is not ideal. But it's less not ideal than being left behind. I'm an English major. I'm an English major. Is a gold piece 100 silver or more like copper? I mean, I'm going off of the uh 10 copper pieces makes one silver piece and 10 silver pieces make one gold piece. But also everything in Cairn is done in gold, and so I might just ignore silver and copper for this. I think that that just makes things easier if you only have like $1 to worry about. So I'm just going to go with everything's in gold pieces because that's just fantasy, classic deal type stuff. So he makes it back to Broken Dagger, and we're going to have uh, basically he goes to Aline, who has kind of come back after her place has been tossed and her contraband has been stolen, and he has to convince her to lend him money or ask for money, and he's going to kind of hold that over her head. 150 gold would be at least $150, if not a little bit more. I'm thinking gold pieces might be a little bit uh bigger than just a single dollar. Um because I don't know. That's just what makes sense to me. Maybe not. It's also like the pricing of things in Cairn and in D&D makes it wild. Like certain things are way more expensive or way less expensive than they should be, given like the kind of average value of a gold piece. But we're just gonna play it by ear. You know, money. We might even get to the point where if we actually come into some money with Boroth, we might just abstract wealth and have kind of a very simple kind of idea of like, okay, you have this many units of money, and if you want to buy something expensive, you have to expend 1 unit of your treasury to do so. That's something, a mechanic that I think is cool when you actually, that makes it feel like you're moving big money instead of dealing with the actual specific prices, because that's just too much math, and why would you spend your time calculating that when you can do cool stories? What was I rolling for? Willpower save to convince Aline to lend him some money. That is a 13. That is a failure. So he tries to leverage the fact that she got his uh like she let his thing be taken, but she is not having that, and she's not gonna kind of put up with being blackmailed. And so she gives him a look that lets Borat know that no, this isn't gonna work. He's not gonna be able to convince her to give him money. And so, how desperate is Borat? Borat does need some money. He's a cautious man. Is Borat a good man? Did we read for his virtue is that he's cautious? But what kind of person is he? He is a smuggler, but he is down on his luck. Do we go evil? Do we go kind of ruthless with Boroth? You know what? I'm gonna ask the fate chart because this could be a big turning point. And it could be interesting to play him if he is a man with loose morals. Uh I'm going to the chaos rank is high. It's at 7. I'm gonna say it's a 50-50 shot according to like the it's not overtly likely or unlikely. But with the chaos rank as high as it is, that means there's a 75% chance that Boroth is his morality leans towards gray, if not darker. That is a 24. And so Aline is here. She's picking through the wreckage of her things. All of her traps have been already uh kind of set off by the dragonflies. And it appeared one of them was wounded as they were kind of flying away, but they all managed to get up and out of here. And Boroth is going to try and uh, well, first he wants to confirm that there is wealth to steal, but in that conversation she did kind of say, "No, I'm not giving you money." So he assumes that she has some. And so what he is going to do is he's going to try and uh would he just steal it? But he's strong. He's going to try and uh overpower her and subdue her, maybe tie her up, and then take her stuff. But he's cautious, so I think he might just have to go for it. No, because this is rough. I don't want to make this decision. But would Boroth? We decided that Boroth was not a good guy. He's willing to do what he has to do to get along. Would that be killing Aline? But she's useful to him, so he wouldn't necessarily do that. So what would he do? I think he would locate some money and take it. And then if she made a fuss, then, well, then things might have to get rough. Okay. So let's see. We're going to roll a willpower save to kind of locate some of Aline's wealth that he could potentially swipe for his own. That was a D12. I don't need that. I need to roll a 10 or lower on a D20. That is a 19. So he can't even find her money. He's looking around, and then she gets enough of that, and she's like, "Get out of here. Uh, get out of here. I do not need you here. I'm not giving you any money." And what's Boroth willing to do? I'm gonna roll a willpower save to see if he is gonna turn to something violent and extreme or look for another option. And if he succeeds, he's gonna steel himself and do the hard thing. He does. And so he wasn't able to locate anything without looking, but I'm assuming there's some kind of back room or vault, and so he is going to try and knock Aline unconscious and take from her uh, what he couldn't find and just steal nonchalantly. So he's going to roll a strength check to try and overpower her and knock her. Well, first I'm going to roll Dex to see if he can sneak up behind her. Nope. So she sees it coming, and so it just becomes a fight. So he has to roll strength. And he succeeds. When he rolls that, because he's not really trying to damage her, he's just trying to subdue her. Uh, so I think maybe he's going to uh, shove her down the secret passage and seal the door after her. So he overpowers her, throws her down the secret passage, and then uses his strength to pile something heavy on top of it. And so she is banging and yelling and screaming at him in rage, but now it is his time to pick through and see if he can actually now, without the threat of being discovered because he already outed himself, get what he needs from her. And so he is going to roll a willpower save to find stuff he needs and fail. So he finds a locked safe, but nothing that he can get out of it. Boroth is just not having a good day. Uh there's no gold within easy reach for him. And I don't think he has anything that might help him at all in this situation. That's unfortunate. Because he's not going to be able to break into the safe with any of the tools he has on hand. That would be some big guns or some lock picking, neither of which he can do. What does the gate scroll that he has do again? Gate, gate, gate. A portal to a random plane opens. Yeah, that's a rough kind of last ditch effort kind of move to do that. So I think that instead of doing that, he already kind of shoved her down there. He's just going to take some stuff that's pawnable, but is not of value right now. Just steal some trinkets and things like that. Let's see how well he does. I'm just going to roll a luck check on the fate. I'm just going to roll 2d4 to see how much gold worth of stuff he steals. 7. That's not bad. That was the fare that he had to pay the first time. Um, and so I'm gonna write here in his notes 7 gold pieces worth of trinkets. So, greatly unsatisfied and now having made an enemy of Aline, he sets off again and is going to try and barter with the trinkets for uh for the the passage along the water. But so he would have to kind of let her out of the secret passage, and then that would be a fight if he wanted to search her for jewelry. So he's just gonna take what he can find laying around, and then take off. And so he does that. He's heading back. He's gonna take a fatigue, but he can definitely get there before they leave in the morning. So I'm gonna fill up one of his inventory slots with fatigue. He is at 9 out of 10, which is not ideal at all. But he gets there and he still has to make a willpower save to convince them to take this. Now there's a chance, but the first mate, Alice, well, she may or may not be willing to take this stuff that she would have to pawn on her own. So I'm gonna roll on the fate chart. I think it's unlikely that she'll go for this, which means we have a 55% chance. Sometimes that high chaos factor works in your favor. We rolled a 43. She accepts. So we're going to take those trinkets off of Boroth's hands. He trades those over and secures passage. And so as they set off, they're going to cross Hidden Lake and hopefully avoid the Mind Whale and move in pursuit of the dragonflies. I think that is where I am going to end tonight's session and tonight's stream. I know it was a bit of a shorter one this time, but I do have stuff coming up, and my allergies are killing me. Uh, but I appreciate all of you for stopping by. Thank you for joining me on another one of Borath's adventures. I'm glad that you all were able to stop by. I hope you enjoyed. And I will see you now. Sunday mornings is when we post the videos. I will see you with a new video that kind of talks about my idea of what this channel actually is. And so I hope you'll find that interesting. You get a little sneak peek here in the stream. And I am going to really try and make this a regular thing, in addition to the weekly videos, doing weekly Friday night streams. So you can kind of plan on 7 p.m. Friday night streams to continue this solo Cairn campaign for as long as it goes, and then we'll do something else. Uh, whether that be more solo RP or chatting or uh, whatever. If you have any ideas for that, I guess let me know. Maybe you can comment it on this stream uh, after it's over. I'd love to hear from you. Any ideas of what you want to see that really helps me know what to make, so that I can uh, keep making stuff that you like, because that's part of the reason I do this. I want to make stuff that I like too, but if you have ideas that you like and I like them too, then everybody wins, right? Well, anyway, I hope you enjoyed the stream. I had a blast. And as always, good night, mortals.